So enhancing the digital connectivity. So the strategy for data centers, peering and cable investments. Here we go. It's not finished yet. To address the current and future regional demands. I will not ask who wrote this because that's a long story. But before we start, ladies and gentlemen, I'm more than happy to have you here first, and secondly, of course, my panelists, my senior experts next to me here, on my left and on my right. So I'm really happy to have you all, and I'll give them a quick second to introduce themselves. So Jane, if I may start with you, please.
Yeah, so I'm Jane Baker. I work for FLAG, which is an acronym for Fibre Links Around the Globe. I'm based in the UK, and we've got a lot of exciting things going on at FLAG, so I'm really happy to join this conversation today.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Mark?
Hey guys, good morning. I am Mark. I came all the way from Malaysia for this event, and I'm very pleased to be with you guys today. So I'm from IX Telecom. We are a local internet service provider and a regional player in the Southeast Asia region.
Okay, thank you and welcome to you too. Claude?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jort Linkai, and I represent China Mobile International in this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. And last but not least, the welcome speech, gentlemen.
Yes,
Sander.
welcome again then. Sander Warens, I'm the CEO and founder of Capvion. We are a M&A advisory and strategic consultancy company.
There you go, mouthful. So welcome everybody, and let's move into it immediately because I think today we have 4 or 5 of these panel sessions. And after this one, we have another one. And if we're then late for lunch, people will say, Eric, next time keep it shorter. So we'll move right into it if you all agree. Now, talking about enhancing the digital connectivity and talking about the current data center and peering landscape, who and what are the key drivers, the challenges, the opportunities we see, and what are the latest developments, let's say, not only in this region, but also because we have Mark here, I would like to know how it's, compared especially to Asia, how it's going, and what are the main demands. So it's actually a mouthful. Who wants to kick off? Jane.
Yeah, I can kick off.
There you go.
So what we're seeing is a huge growth of traffic driven by AI, cloud expansion, data center expansion driven by the hyperscalers. All of that is meaning that there's a huge demand for new paths, diverse and resilient connectivity across different regions. We're seeing a massive growth, especially from Asia and the Middle East, in meeting that. And customers now are very specific about getting that resiliency in their networks to meet that demand and to build diverse paths across those regions.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, so I guess it's very true coming from Jane. I think we see a lot of demand, especially in the Southeast Asia region. So for a region with 680 million people, and at the same time with the current landscape in terms of AI infrastructure and as well as cloud adaptation in the region, it's very important for us to build a much more resilient network. And I guess in the entire Asia Pacific region as well, Southeast Asia plays like around 31% of the ongoing construction of the data center there. So for us, being able to build a much more resilient network, a more interconnected region, plays a very important role for this AI adaptation in the region. And I guess to add in as well, digital economy plays a very big role. I think a lot of significant conversations with the government, ensuring that government itself, more e-platforms for the people and all those e-commerce and all those things that is coming in within the Southeast region must be met with a lower latencies as what Jane said, and as well as much more resilient.
Okay, so
I completely agree with the colleagues here. What I also would like to highlight is that with regards to resiliency, we can talk about network resiliency, and also resiliency can be improved by having more interconnect points. Therefore, I guess that we have some constraints within Europe on the sides for power, for lack of space, physical space, for instance. And this is, I think, creates a good opportunity for the emerging hubs to grow, where they have enough land, they have enough space, they have enough power, maybe renewable energy. So this is something that is a an opportunity for the future, especially if they are connected very well to the larger hubs and subsea networks.
Okay, thank you. Sander, you've been in charge in your former role, I think, in 190 countries, making sure that the connectivity worked for all the enterprises around the world in a very nice architecture, and building a fantastic platform for that. So, how do you see this on a global scale?
Yeah, there are parallels with what I have done with Experio on the internet side. What I now look at AI, and in April we launched a paper called the Enterprise AI Adoption Gap. Is that I mean, there's as we see AI move away from learning into inference, so it starts to become useful. It's also changing the way that the networks are going to be well, filled with traffic, because the learning part was very heavy on the traffic. The inference one will be more of an enterprise type of use. Well, what we're also seeing is that the adoption is still very low, and this and I can see a lot of.
Why is that? Why is that?
It has to do with sovereign connectivity. Yeah, so you see, there's a lot of investment going into the well, AI compute centers, the data centers with all the CPUs, TPUs, GPUs. But how to get there, either in a redundant way, but how to get there in general, is a hurdle that a lot of governments and enterprise still can't overcome. So that is one gap that needs to change. In the US, you've got a lot of these neoclouds now, so these are all these kind of AI data centers. And a lot of that compute capability is just sitting idle because the use is not there. Why we don't see a move from pilot to live running operational implementation of AI within the enterprise, that has to do with that on the pilot they might still make use of internet, maybe with some security on top of it, but when they now need to move on to go into their own CPU, their own models on top of that, and keep their data sovereign, you come across that connectivity piece again, and this is where it fails. So there's a lot of intention, but I still see a very low rate of conversion from pilot into operational use, and this is all about the networks.
Okay, and do you see this improving, or what do you foresee for the sort of the near future? Will it enhance? Will it improve? Will it go faster, especially in the time to market?
Well, it's very interesting. So I've spoken to quite a few of these neoclouds, and these people think in data centers in space and in compute power capability. They don't think in terms of connectivity. They really skip the whole, how does my customer get to me? So this is where we're having these conversations now, and I hear people say yes, so thanks for that.
We have data center people in the house here.
So for all the carriers around us, I think this is a huge opportunity to go into those the AI data centers and offer that connectivity, but also make it easy to consume for those pilots, those enterprise that want to trial it out. They don't want to go into multi-year commits on the connectivity piece, because that does not meet the same AI flexibility or as a service, if you like, that they require. I don't think connectivity has to be on demand, because there's no need for that. No CFO in the world likes to have variable cost on a monthly base.
Oops, no.
But we need to be more flexible, especially in the beginning phase, as we're still in adoption. I said that earlier this morning. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. But we do need to make it easier for the enterprise and the governments to consume it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you just mentioned your report. I think you do a monthly report, right?
Yeah, it's called the Capvian Insights, and it's a monthly publication.
Okay. It's interesting. So if you want to, guys, check it out for free, right? Every month.
Yeah, for free.
Okay, perfect. Talking a little bit of demand, and Jane, and of course you have a global overview. Of course, it's in your name actually, with flag on the global side.
Yeah.
How are we facing actually the speed of the market demand? What?
The speed is actually represents a fantastic opportunity, the growth. So what we're seeing is that the larger customers, often like financial services, are really moving towards wanting higher bandwidths, more capacity, We also see that demand from the tier 2 hyperscalers as well. So wanting to have that resilient connectivity from one source, end-to-end dedicated capacity. And the demand is huge. You know, customers are asking now for 400 gig as a standard.
And they're happy to pay whatever it costs? Or?
That would be a great sales
Or
job.
was that just the curveball of the morning? Are they
Well, some paths are easier and cheaper to procure than others. So I think what's really interesting at the moment, the geopolitics is just an obstacle, but it is a globally complex environment to work through and to build those paths and to create those routes end to end. Because customers don't want to get partial routes either. They want to work with a provider who can deliver the whole solution, and that's what we're focusing on.
All right, Zolt, how do you see this in CMI?
I agree, and I want to connect to the word complexity. And because of the complexity, I guess there is no single provider who can provide all the services. I think we have to think about ecosystems, like not only having a subsea network or a subsea connectivity, but we also need to have partnerships with data center providers, with cloud providers to offer the full solution to the customer. So we in CMI, we also believe in this one. So we have a huge network with subsea capacities, terrestrial networks, and so on. But we have our partners locally. Like we have a local ring in Europe, for instance, or Singapore, Hong Kong, but we don't have a local network within Europe. We just have a ring, and we rely on partners to reach the end customers with our solutions. And we are also offering like peering services and all types of cloud connection, because our customers don't need just capacity like 400G, but they need a solution.
All right.
That's very true, actually, because I mean, even in the Southeast Asia region itself, we're pretty much focusing on pushing towards AI infrastructure, especially Singapore there. But Singapore alone cannot do it by themselves, actually, because Singapore is a small country. They don't have enough space, they don't have enough land, and at the same time, power plays a very important role, especially when you are trying to target this, I mean, data centers, hyperscalers, and all those things. So Malaysia is where we coming from, actually plays a significant partnership with Singapore in this sense. So Johor, Malaysia connection actually is very important, especially that more and more hyperscalers are going there, especially for clouds, because we want to ensure that if anything goes wrong, the network will still keep in the Southeast Asia region, and where everyone in the Southeast Asia region is going towards digitalization. So more and more consumers are actually into like how fast, if one link is down or once a cable is down, how fast we can restore that. And I think it's not about the demand actually right now. Demand is always there. Demand will be there for the next following years with this new technologies that we're doing well. I think the question is, how can we fast scale up this? Like how fast we can scale up with the current demand and the current introduction with this AI in the region.
Okay.
No, I really like that, because I think this is going to offer a new opportunity. Yeah, we've seen a little bit of a decline on private connectivity, and this is another way to accelerate it again. And yes, the geopolitical tensions might be seen as a struggle, but at the same time, the whole sovereign routing is giving a whole new life to the networks. If you can prove that the traffic stays within the Southeast region or within Singapore, within Malaysia, that way you can build trust. You're probably going to fulfill your government's requirements, because they don't want the data of their citizens to go outside of the borders of Malaysia. So as a domestic operator with international capability, you can now start to segregate those two from each other. And if you can do that through certification, you really have a whole opportunity to add more value on what used to be private connectivity, now moving into sovereign connectivity. So I think there's an opportunity for the industry to really build more capacity, but do it smartly, and think about, indeed, how do I prove that the traffic stays within the region, the country, whatever it needs to do, so that your customers and your government can trust it.
So as with this famous Dutch football player who said, every disadvantage has its advantage. That's actually what we're saying. Johan Cruyff, he doesn't live, he is not there anymore. So, Mark, you mentioned a little bit, let's say, the customer experience, but why do you think that, let's say, where does the IX come in? You know, the internet exchanges. How important is their role, and you know, how can they actually improve and make sure that the customer experience increases?
So I guess currently in the situation,
Because it's never good enough, you know.
yeah.
And
I
we
mean,
need
let's be
and we
honest,
need
it's
to
never good enough.
and we need to
basically.
blame anyway. You know, somebody we need to blame, right? Any IX in the? Oh, I think you are a special advisor for the M6 board, right? Oh, so there's somebody from an IX on the board. So how can we blame them, those guys?
I know there's no blaming game, but I think it's more on like a sense of cooperation with one another, because I guess Asia itself, it's quite mature in that sense, but at the same time there's still a growing opportunity actually in the region. So for now, more of those IXs are actually available in Singapore, but they are not available in those areas that are quite huge in terms of demand. Let's talk about Indonesia. Let's talk about Thailand. Let's talk about Malaysia, even Philippines actually. So it's still pretty much within the Singapore area, where in Southeast Asia alone, we are a region of maritime islands. So it's very important actually to have those IXPs within those region, basically. So the more IXPs, the better, because if one area is down, at least they can auto reroute with the next available on that sense. And I think resiliency is very important, especially for the end customer and end user on that sense, especially that the best one has to have the lowest latency actually, because at the end of the day, Southeast Asia itself, it's an area where digital economy is there, a lot of video streamer, and as well as gaming. So I think that's very important for us actually to have more IXPs available in the region.
You agree, Sandler?
Oh, absolutely. But I've already seen that it is moving in the right direction over the last 15 years. When I started with Xperio in Singapore, which were all about the internet, some of the peering of the Southeast Asian carriers was happening on the West Coast in the US. Yeah, you see. And so that was horrible from a performance perspective. This is why we then introduced the AI in order to optimize the routing. Now with the new AI coming on board and the requirements on the type of routing, not just the availability of routing, which is what you just explained, but also the type of routing. I think for the IXs, there's a whole new opportunity in order to do both. The traditional BGP pairing will not go away. It will always stay there. But you can start offering something on top of that in order to offer that availability as well as that sovereignty that we talked about earlier.
And when do you think that's coming? Because normally it takes, I mean, we talk about 5 years before about things, and then
we're not going to have 5 years this time.
No.
So the rate of innovation with AI is at such a high pace that if you don't jump on it now, you will be caught up by your competition. So you're going to have to do it now, maybe 12 months, 24 months, but you're not going to have 5 years.
Okay. All right. Good. Identifying new investment opportunities, because I mean, everything costs a huge amount of money, right? And we first need to make the money to, you know, but we also have banks talking about financial industry. Identifying the investment opportunities to address actually the growing demands, and it doesn't matter in whatever region. I mean, I think we agree that in every region it needs to be done. So what kind of investments do we see mainly in the in whichever region? Mark, what do you see? Especially, or if it's submarine, if it's whatever.
I think to talk about this, I think submarine cables are already, I think it's already there. I think there's new submarine cables going into Asia Pacific. We have AUG, we have SJC2 coming in, and then at the same time, we have these new cables that are actually going towards the Southeast Asia region. I think for me, it's more on intra-region investment, basically. So these cables are already connected in Singapore, basically, or Malaysia, let's say, or Indonesia. But we need, from our perspective, we need to focus more on a much better resilient new routes, or maybe let's say new cable landing station, because most of these cables are landing on the same cable landing stations. And at the same
That was
time,
the cheapest
That's the
That's
cheapest.
that
That's
was
the
the
thing.
cheapest.
So I guess this is something that we have to look at, ensuring that there's more resiliency. And I guess for a maritime island itself, it's more on creating new cables that would connect these islands in the Southeast Asia region.
Yeah, but you keep on calling those islands, and I know, for instance, Java from Indonesia is an island, but you know how big that is.
How big, yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite
it's
big,
it's
actually.
it's huge. It goes from east to west. That's bigger than Europe. So you know, it is quite an island.
Yes.
It sounds small,
But
but
sounds small, but it's quite big actually.
it's
Yeah.
Japan is also an island,
It's
right?
also an island,
Yeah,
yes.
small thingy, right? Nothing. Sorry, Jane, please.
Yeah. So for us, investing in subsea capacity is really important. So we have 7 subsea cables, and we've invested in a new Google cable between Singapore and LA. But going back to the point about where to invest and how to do that. So seeing as the growth we see mainly coming, the huge growth from Asia and the Middle East, that's where we're investing in new paths. And what's also really important to do is to look at, we know what the customers are asking for. So they want the diverse and resilient routes. They want to make sure they've got, no single point of failure on cable landing stations, for example. But we need to make sure that we can complement what we already have as our assets. No single provider can do everything out of one hand on their own. So we need to make sure that we build those partnerships to connect terrestrially our cable landing stations, which we've done really successfully in the Middle East, for example, as well as adding new diverse paths across the Middle East terrestrially. So it's a real combination of subsea and terrestrial partnerships that's creating that ecosystem.
All right, Jens,
If I may continue, thank you.
you're investing your off. I mean,
Yes, CMI is investing a lot, but it's kind of not a competition from this perspective that investing in the longest cable system in the world, just like to Africa, we consider our investment, for instance, into Africa, like not only going around Africa, but connecting like Europe to Africa, African countries, Africa to Middle East, and Middle East back to Europe. So it's more like a chain of some intra-regional networks, for instance. But we are also consortium members on CH2X cable in Asia, and we believe that it offers new opportunities, not only for us, but all the consortium members, and we have to invest smartly. So it's not enough to invest in systems. It needs to have a CLS that has the right connections to hubs in each and every country. And open access is also something that we believe that opens new opportunities for local players to reach the cable landing stations. For
do
instance.
you have this in your strategy as well? Open access?
Open access? What do you mean with open access?
I mean, like accessing the CLS itself and like spectrum sharing, for instance, on the systems and these kind of things that can easily increase the resiliency by being with this technical solution.
Yeah, so I think, well, we're not building our own cables anymore. We've built our cables, and now we're investing in the cables that are right for us and that fit with those cable landing stations. And yeah, access is really important to make sure that we can get those additional paths out of the cable landing stations.
Sander, as an Capvion being an M&A boutique company, talking to a lot of investors, and I know that especially from your past, probably, I would not say all of their investors, but quite some. What do you hear, let's say, in the background on possible investments? Is it specific to a region? Is it specific to certain demand? What do you see? What do you hear?
Yeah.
What can you share with us? Because
Well, what I can say is that there's a real eye for anything to do with AI. So if you come with a good business plan and there's something unique that you can offer within an AI environment, but that's a very big word. So if you then break that down, if you look for something, I don't know if you've ever heard the word, it's called the sovereign embassy. So this is a CPU compute capability within a AI data center, sovereign for a country. So effectively, like a cage within the data center. This is going to drive a whole new demand for connectivity. So this is good for Flag because you're going to see international capacity in a redundant way going to be necessary. So I think those investments are going on as well. The other investment that I see for which the business cases are very attractive has to do with collaboration. It's good that we all have the capacity, be it the data center, be it the compute, be it the connectivity. But I think it was mentioned earlier about the network itself. Well, let's call that network as a service. It's so highly complex at the moment. How do you go across all these different networks, all these different data centers and clouds? And that's going to require investment as well. So you see the investors are opening up for that as well. You see some nice startups in that space on how can we aggregate all of this capacity on connectivity as well as CPU and GPU capacity. And of course, the landscape is highly fragmented. And like I said, the use is still very little. So we see a lot of idle capacity in the data center. And this is going to have to be consumed. So you see opening up for those type of investments as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Talking about connectivity and cables and submarine, whatever, but it's on the terrestrial part, but also on the NTN, so the non-terrestrial parts, such as the LEOs and the MEOs, of course, and the apps. So, Mark, what technical challenge do we have to overcome, and actually, which opportunities should it exploit? And maybe you can give us a nice example from the Asia part.
Yeah, so
For us Europeans to understand, how it works.
So basically, Asia region, we pretty much have our own terrestrial fiber connectivity within the region. But I guess for those NTN, those LEO and all those things, these are very important for us, especially that there are some islands that is still hard to reach for us, especially those underserved region, I must say. So connecting the unconnected is very important actually for us. And then even for IX Telecom, we try to ensure that whenever we provide a service or solution to our customer, it has to be with two resilient, maybe two different type of technology, may it be using terrestrial or maybe using this layer basically. Because at the end of the day, for a region where there's a lot of disasters like typhoon, all those earthquakes, like, recently in my country, Philippines, the 7.8 magnitude,
Yes.
It's very important that everyone has to stay connected. And I guess the first thing that will be destroyed during these earthquakes are those terrestrial available services that we have. So it's very important, and we're also thankful actually that this LEO or those other NTN solutions are there for us.
Okay, Jane?
Yeah, I think satellite has come there's been so much advancement over the last few years, GEO, MEO and LEO now, and it's a great opportunity for consumers to stay connected. But from a international perspective, so transmitting data internationally, whilst GEO, MEO and LEO are great, for high capacity, the lowest latency is always going to be subsea and terrestrial path. So I think the technology people amongst us, they love being able to use all of those different technologies for their specific use case. But for what I'm looking at, the big chunks of international capacity, subsea and terrestrial is the answer.
Because it's still 92%.
Yeah.
It's still there. Sold?
I also see these solutions as a complement to the submarine networks and terrestrial networks to reach areas where it's not worth investing, or you cannot reach other way, actually.
Okay. Sander, do you see anything to add? Do you see any obstacles over there, or?
No, I think the approach is right. I mean, you need to look at it from a multi-technology perspective. We're still underutilizing the 5G networks, for instance. I saw the presentation this morning for private 5G. If you do the slicing properly, you can actually get capacities towards the user with a performance very similar to, if not equal, to what you can do with the fiber lines. And I think this is not the same as backbone capacity that can't be replaced that easily. No. But I do think you need to look at this mix in order to give that diversity, because you can only go so far with terrestrial diversity, especially on the last mile. On the international sea cables, yes, you could separate that out quite nicely if you duplicate the landing stations, etc. But the satellites play a role in that, but it's not the answer to everything.
Okay. So because I would like to get the people up to speed, and we're pinpointing, guys, only on a couple of things, so on the data centers, on the IX, whatever, but just to give you a quick, a rundown on the what's going on in the world. The technical developments. So, Mark, you were talking about already, that a lot of things are coming, things will be new. Sander mentioned, we need to be up to speed. It will come fast. AI will play a significant role in that. What do you see, let's say, as the latest technological, developments we see, and how could we use it or implement it, and what can the people, by the end of the day, the end customers expect?
Okay, so I guess
five questions in one sentence.
So I think in terms of technological development, I guess for me, basically we need to have, I think the real winner on this, we're talking about submarine cables, resiliencies, and all those things. I think the real winner is for a technology that can consolidate everything of this, like if there's some sort of like the IX, the cloud, and as well as the submarine cables capacities and all those things that would consolidate this. If we have that technological capabilities to do that, I think that they are the real winners of actually on this kind of good problem that we are facing nowadays.
Okay, Jane.
I think we need.
Do you have a scoop? Do you have a scoop?
I would say that the most important thing here is the partnerships with the technology vendors, because that is what's being able to meet the demands of where customers are increasing their, to 400 gigs. We need to make sure, and as that grows, that the technology is capable of it, and the vendors are working on that. And it is, they are coming on really quickly. And it's interesting when you look back at older cables and working with the vendors, how much more they can extract out of those cables with the new technology. And I see that coming on more and more.
Okay. Is it coming fast enough?
Yes, I think so.
Are you sure? Yeah. I would say never. It's never fast enough, right? Again, we have to blame somebody, Salt?
I agree, and I think it's our responsibility to bring the highest value to our customers. And if we want to do this, we have to invest a lot in new technologies, and we have to work with vendors, with our partners to serve the customers on the highest level. And actually, this is what we are doing, offering 400 Gs, for instance, is one of the examples. But continuous investment in the future is very important. So if we see a demand and if we start thinking about investing, it's too late. Mm-hmm. So I think what we have to do is that we need to be forward thinking, and we have to, if we can, we have to invest in the future, because this is when we will be right on time to serve the customer. So, and it's not about having a subsea network ready, but it has to be commercially ready. Together with the terrestrial route, reaching the exchanges, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it still sounds to me like a little, we should. What's the strategy? Mark, what should be the strategy? What's the IX strategy for the coming years?
I think for the coming years, it's more towards vendor partnership, basically, because I think for us, IX, even for IX Telecom itself, we work pretty mainly with all the last mile provider, with all the submarine cable providers and all those things. And having that one unified provider to support all those demand in the market, it's very important actually. So you need to talk with one another. It's not like, okay, hey, you're doing this business, I'm doing this kind of business, let's not talk another. It's more about collaboration, I must say. Even though you are pretty much competing with the same enterprise, but I think at the end of the day, let's just have some sort of discussion how we could improve and how we can ensure that the customer experience are always there. And that's the main goal actually right now that we're trying to do.
Okay, he was actually saying what you just said, right?
Kind of, yes. We agree. Yeah.
Anything to add, Jane?
Well, I think, like you say, partnership is so important to work together. Customers just want the service to work, and they want to have that diversity. They need their scaling as the AI workloads start to come in with their own requirements. The scale is enormous, so it's got to work, and we need to make sure that we work with our partners to facilitate that.
So,
I can only agree on this. And like what I said before, so like forward thinking and investing is that maybe you have seen in Rico's presentation that, for instance, we have just opened a new data center ready for AI load. This is something that we don't know yet who we will sell this capacity to, but we know that we will sell all of these capacities because this is the future, and this is why we are already investing in this, because we see that there will be a need on the market for this level.
okay, Sander, listening to these experts,
Yeah,
what
and I think
say,
the key
what
word-
should be what should the strategy be? I mean, well, and, you know, and it's nice to talk about. Yeah, we should again, but what should be the strategy?
When we looked at that report that we wrote in April, there is no lack of capability today. The technology is there and it works. I think the key word is collaboration. So where does the investment need to go? Yes, we need to prepare ourselves for the future, but it is how can we get that what is available today to work with each other. So it's that interoperability piece. I can see some bodies like the TM Forum and also Amplify trying to work with the carriers and everybody else in the industry, like cloud providers and software platforms, on how can you work with each other in order to make this available now. Because at the end of the day, you have to approach it from the enterprise perspective. Look at their journey. How can we make their life easier? And if we all try to do it ourselves, a lot of investment will be lost eventually because you can't get the benefits of the money that you put in there. So it is about collaboration. And I would focus on that one first, probably more even than starting to build up more capacity, which at the moment is still available.
Okay. All right. We're a bit early, but I still want to have your closing statements, actually. Jane, what would be your takeaway for the audience? What should they be looking out for? What's your glass bowl prediction?
I think my takeaway is that the growth is huge, and through this, with a challenging global environment, customers need that resiliency and diversity across difficult areas, and you need to have a provider that you can trust to build those paths and to be transparent about what they're doing to offer those end-to-end solutions.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I certainly agree with Jane as well. I think resiliency is the most important word that we are trying to discuss actually as of today. So I guess for now, I mean, collaboration is one of the things, but I think the real winner this time is if there is an organization that could actually unify all of this, that could ensure that, submarine capacities are there, internet exchanges are there, or even the clouds are there within their network. I think these are the real winner as of today, especially that with the AI adaptation, we're talking about time. And but with that time, we have to make sure that we are scalable. And I think right now, we need to look forward 3 to 5 years because the demands are there. We just need to make sure that we can cater those demands that we have with the partnership of our vendors, with the partnership of with the collaboration that we're trying to create. So I guess that's the most important element to consider on this.
Okay, thank you. Zsolt, your takeaway?
If I need to say one word, then I would say ecosystems. So we have to build ecosystems, which means that it contains all the network developments, data center development, and also the collaboration that is still missing, or at least it's not on the level than
could be improved. Huh?
Yes, exactly.
Sander, your takeaway?
Yeah, so I think we all agree there's a huge opportunity out there, and this is so the digital economy is growing fast and now further fueled by all the AI development. And so the advice would be act fast, because if I again take the parallel to what we had with the internet, this is moving at a rate that we don't have 5-10 years to wait.
No, we need to move on and make sure that, and I think we have consensus on this one, work together, collaborate, and make sure that the interoperability works and in its true sense, actually. And and with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank, of course, Jane. Thank you for being here and sharing your thoughts. And
Thank you for having me.
of course, as always, Mark, thanks for
Thank you.
making all the way, all the way coming here. It's not that easy like it used to be. Zolt, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. as well.
Okay, and Sandra, as always, thank you so much for your valuable insights.
Thanks, Eric.
And you know what, guys? We were just kicking off today, so all these people here, you can still talk to them, even live downstairs somewhere, or here, or at the CCL. So, and with that, I would like to thank you, audience, for being here and being with us. And thank you for all your questions you had. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It was fantastic. And no, but kidding. Thank you so much. We will have more panel sessions for you coming up. And actually in 25 minutes, we start the next panel. So thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the day. Enjoy Berlin. Hopefully the weather will improve. And thank you all.